Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Wearparts studio. This morning we want to drill down into all of the replacement parts that we carry for the case planners, the older 1200 series and the newer 2100 series planners, and then the 500 series air seeder. With me today I've got Eric Derry. He's part of our customer care team. Very thankful to have him on board. He has a wealth of knowledge for us. So we're going to cover, there's actually 3 different categories of parts that we cover for the case machines. We carry the seat opener blades, we carry the gauge wheels and the gauge wheel tires, and we also cover several options on closing systems that are slightly different than OEM, just for your different applications. So it's quite an extensive list of products through the whole evolution of the planners of the case. There's actually 2 pages of seat openers with the different part numbers and bearing options, etc. So very excited. But let's start with the seat openers. And Eric, if we can just start with the blades that we use. Tell us what's unique about the assembly process and the quality of the blade that we use in our case planner seat openers.
Well, let's start with what everyone is got. Every single opener blade is going to have, and that's going to be the blade. We start out with a high quality, forged in O, heat treated blade. This is a Neo 200 blade, so it's got a special heat treating process that is done to basically create 3 different zones of hardness going from the inside to the outside of the blade.
Gotcha.
On that inside of the blade, you've got a relatively soft, I say relatively, but it is the same hardness as most other blades out there throughout the entire blade. So you're starting out with a standard hardness, about 48 to 50 Rockwell C in the center. That way it prevents breakouts, gives it a little bit more flexibility here in the middle.
Gotcha.
As we move out to this center section, we're going to increase the hardness. That's going to be 50 to 55 Rockwell C. That keeps that blade nice and stiff, making sure that it's going to be running true. It's not going to be moving around, and really keep the strength of that blade. And then when we get to the outside edge, we increase the hardness even more. That's going to be a 55 to 58 Rockwell C. Really going to keep that so it's going to be long wearing, it'll stay sharper longer, and really make that blade last a long, long time.
That's good. Also, one of the questions that we often get from customers, with that harder edge, is it going to be more brittle? Will it crack and break more? Actually, the harder edge withstands rocky conditions better, with less chipping and cracking and breaking. So there's 3 different things on that harder edge. You've got the longer wear life. It also wears sharper, which helps you cut residue if you're running a no-till, and then it doesn't break down in the rockier conditions. The thing is about these planners, as they've evolved through the years, they just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and guys want to run faster and faster and faster. And these seat openers, generally speaking, have struggled. If you look at the industry, have struggled to keep up with that pace. This has been sort of what you might say the weak spot on the machine. So we've worked extensively over the last 10 years working with customers and engineers and agronomists to develop a solution for it.
Yeah, you started out, you had relatively thin blades. Those blades started breaking as people were going faster and trying to get more down pressure and be more consistent. So they increase the thickness of the blades. Increase the thickness of the blades, start having other issues. So they have to change what the bearings and the housings, and it just works its way right up that, all the way up through that system.
So let's start off with, okay, what blades do we offer for the case planners? You want to kick us off there, Eric?
Sure. Well, we have several different options, of course. On the majority of the case planners, you're going to have that leading and trailing edge. So we, of course, have the 2 different sides. You have the housing on the bevel side, or the housing on the opposite bevel side.
Opposite the bevel side.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
So got the standard original, which would be the single row bearing.
This one here.
There'd be one similar to this. This is this particular one. This is a 3.5 millimeter blade, so this is our thinnest blade that we offer.
Yep.
It's got the single row bearing here, so we only have one row of bearings, and still a very good basic blade. Works great. Of course, this would be the this. Let's see, which one is this? This is the leading. So it's a 3.5 millimeter with the standard housing and bearing.
And then the mate to it would be pretty much an identical blade, but the housing subassembly is on the back side,
Right.
opposite the bevel. And again, these blades that we've started off with, these have a press formed housing, and it just moves up from there. A couple things about our press formed housing is they're machined on the back side and through the bore on an XY axis with a CNC machine, so it helps it run true. Our blades, our assemblies are guaranteed true, aren't they, Eric?
Absolutely. All of our assemblies are put together in-house at our plant in Gothenburg, Nebraska, so we can control the process and we can test every single one before it goes out the door to make sure that they're running true, that we're not going to have excessive load, we're not going to have that wobble in there, to make sure that when that blade goes out, it's the best that we can put out, and you're not going to have to be sorting through a box just to try to find ones that'll match up.
That's good. And just to reiterate, every single seed opener assembly gets tested on our laser runout machines. And the parameters that we hold them to is 50 thousandths and down on your wobble. So anything 50 thousandths and under is good to go. Anything over gets rejected. And on your lope, it's 60 thousandths and under. If it's over those parameters, it does not ship out. So very strict tolerances. We've got the lowest tolerances in the industry, and we can guarantee that these blades run true for the peace of mind of the farmer and the dealer. It's much less hassle, and also saves the farmer time for when they're shimming up. Right. Because when they set those seed openers and they spin them a third of a turn and check it again, there's not the variance. That's one option. That's one benefit. Another is a lot better seed stand as well.
Absolutely. So we start out here with the single row bearing, and then we can go up from there. I believe that's one right there. We have the same blade, so the same 3.5 millimeter blade, but here we've gone with a double row bearing, so that we have two rows of bearings in there. This is a heavier duty housing also, so that to match up with our HD blade. So this is going to be for a little more tougher conditions, but where you still want that thin blade to be able to cut through it.
Yep, so that's a double row 205 series bearing. It runs the same dust cap.
Then our next step up would be in basically in the thickness of the blade. We have those same options with the bearing and the housing. Let's see what we go up to, a 4.5 millimeter.
4.5, and often actually that brings up a good point. Some guys will run the 4.5 on the leading and a 3.5 on the trailing, because that leading is taking a lot of the use, and the trailing doesn't have to do the initial cutting. So
right. Okay, then we do have we also have the 14-inch blades. Let's see, do we have any of those out here? 8, 4, 3.
which ones?
No, we didn't. I don't think we got any of the 14-inch.
Okay, so those these are all.
These are all 14s,
but
but that's the 15 there.
This here is the 9. Let me just catch that one.
Oh, that's a 204 bearing. Okay.
Yes, so we don't sell very many of them anymore, but we do have the little, the 14-inch blade with the single row 204 series bearing, which is used on the older case planters.
Right. Lighter bearing, lighter blade, or just kind of a very entry level. If you were going back to those older ones and you want to have the same thing that you had on that originally, that'd be your option to go with there.
Same blade as this blade here, but just a much smaller bearing and housing setup.
Okay, then we also have different options for the internal bearings too. We can do a solid inner race, or we have a split inner race, depending on what on our extreme duties.
Gotcha. So we move up then to the cast housings, which there's one there, and there's one there, and there's one there.
Okay, what we got here? This is a low profile housing. So this is of course we have that same high quality blade, but we've got a really beefed up, nice heavy duty cast housing. This particular one has a solid inner race, so it's a one piece bearing all the way through. Nice thing about that, it's one piece, maintenance free. You put it on, you don't have to worry about it. Does a really good job getting that really low profile housing on there.
One thing about that cast housing that we've heard is in high-speed no-till situations, when you have a lot of residue, that gauge wheel will come up and slam up against that housing. So this cast housing can withstand a lot more of that abuse of that gauge wheel rim just pounding that as it's going through the field at a higher speed. Actually, we've got a customer south of us a little ways, and he runs. He's really been with us that whole journey. We actually have a testimonial from him. His name is Johnny Walker. That's an easy name to remember, by the way. But he wasn't even getting one season out of his case openers. And then he switched to ours on the cast housing, and he was getting over a season. And then, as it's progressed, he's getting 2 seasons. So he's getting over double the life out of his seed openers is because of that heavy duty cast housing.
Now, the other option we have for that cast housing is the split inner race. So this one here, right now we've got the protection in there to make sure that no dirt gets in there while it's before it goes in the field. So you can pop that plastic out, and that bearing is actually split into 2 halves. And so you have the first half that you can that you put in there. You put the ball bearings in there, and then you could actually some customers actually can use these so that they're greasable.
So some guys will pump grease into that split. So the advantage of that split one is that it has a higher load rating. If you stop and think about how a ball bearing is made, you've got your outer race, and you put your inner race in it, and you slide it over to one side, and then you put the ball bearings into it, where you can only get so many in when you're full. That split inner race, you've got your outer race, you've got your bottom half of your inner race, then you put your outer race over top of that, and then you can drop as many balls as you want in there. So I think there's 2 more ball bearings in that in the split inner race bearing than there is in the solid. So it actually has a higher load rating to help, and it helps on the lifespan.
So you have more contact on those ball bearings on that inner race.
Yeah.
That's excellent. More be able to keep that more stable and last even longer. Again, that's paired with that cast housing, so it can't take the abuse. Really a rock solid, heavy duty product. I think that about covers our openers then. Again, all those are available in leading and trailing, both sides, so you can do the front and back. Mix and match if you want. They're not going out of sets, so if you want to try some different combinations, that's something that could be worked out also.
So there's that wraps up our Case IH seed opener lineup. It's quite extensive. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us and speak to our customer care team, Eric Derry and Gary Meyer and Courtney and Leticia. They're all willing to help you out on this. Or you can go to the website, wearpartsllc.com, to see your different extensive lineup of options for your case planner openers. Thank you very much, and good morning.